O of the fifth column recently reviewed or gave his assessment of the GOP Twitter hearings. These hearings were the result of the conspiracy theory that the GOP was pushing that was the exact opposite of the truth. People on the left for a long time have known that there is a right-wing bias in social media. It's not a secret. It's not a conspiracy. It's just a known fact. There's testimony from Facebook executives already. There was already testimony from executives at various companies essentially saying, yeah, we skew things towards the right wing. And yet it was a conspiracy theory because every accusation is an admission with the GOP that, in fact, there was a left-wing bias. Well, the dog caught the car and doesn't know what to do with it because the GOP has now been holding hearings in the House regarding media bias, and the answers they're getting are incredibly embarrassing. Here's Bo of the fifth column talking about it.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Bo again. So today we are going to talk about Republicans in the U.S. House of Representatives and their show and how things are going. And we're going to talk about believing your own stuff and how they certainly should have known that this is how it was going to go. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm not surprised because nobody watched it. But they held their first hearing. This one was part of the series that is apparently going to be trying to pin something on Hunter Biden. I don't actually know what they're really trying to look into here. But the first hearing was supposed to showcase how Twitter was like at the command of the Democratic Party and how they, censored everything to help him and all of this stuff. And that's what they told people they were going to see. What was the testimony? I am aware.
Real quick, I think Bo has allergies of some sort because he's a sniffling in this. I sincerely hope it ain't COVID, but he doesn't address it, so I assume he just sneezed before the take. Anyway, yeah, the Twitter hearings are part of a series, and I gotta say, I'm looking forward to more embarrassment for the GOP coming out of this.
Of no unlawful collusion with or direction from any government agency or political campaign on how Twitter should have handled the Hunter Biden laptop situation. That's Twitter's former deputy counsel. Testimony very, very similar to that came from a whole bunch of people. This was very surprising to a lot of Republicans, particularly those who have been asking me since the, quote, Twitter files came out why I wasn't covering it, and this especially goes out to the person who was down there for like 2 weeks saying day 20 whatever of Bo covering up the Twitter files. This is why I didn't cover it, because I read it. So they believed that they were going to get all of this information about how Twitter censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. That's what Republicans believed. Why? Because a whole bunch of right-wing commentators said that was true, and the Republicans in Congress believed them. It is worth remembering that the person who put the Twitter files out said, there is no evidence that I've seen of any government involvement in the laptop story.
Okay, so I really need to point out the fatal flaw that MAGA has is that they have been demanding truth. They could have skewed their nonsense a lot of ways. They could have kept it to culture. They could have kept it to things that were not provable. But they have been demanding truth. And the problem is, enough of them got elected doing that they are now expected to go out and seek truth. I am sure, mark my words, I am sure they will find a way to pretend to do that in a way that doesn't actually involve them, doing it. But thus far, they hadn't figured it out. And this Twitter hearing is going to continue being an absolute embarrassment for them because of it. Because even though, as Bo just said, it was already stated that there was no left-wing bias. In fact, there was a right-wing bias. Their worldview is dependent upon that not being the case. And so they've just said that isn't the case. And now here they are in full control getting this put on the record. It's delicious.
Why couldn't they find it? Why didn't anybody at Twitter admit it? Because there's never been any actual evidence to suggest that occurred. They made it up. They got caught in their own propaganda feed, and they believed it. So, how is a hearing supposed to run? If you were around during the sixth hearings, you remember me saying a certain phrase over and over again.
Oh, yes.
Tell them what you're going to tell them. Tell them what you told them, right? What has happened on day one of the Republican hearings? Tell them what you're going to tell them. Oh, no, that's not what anybody said. This is going to be repeated over and over again.
I fully expect the hilarity to continue. There again, full clip in the description. Part I wanted from that was stated. Yeah, they don't. It's just like when a lawyer with a bad client has to try to present a case in court. Eventually, the thing that makes a client bad is that the facts don't bear out what they're saying. The facts don't bear out their case. And as a lawyer, you got to just try your best to represent them with what you do have. Unfortunately, in this case, the lawyer and the client's the same person. It's the politicians that said all this nonsense that now have to try to prove that with people under oath. The issue being, they're gish-gaveling. They're stalling for time, and their ranting doesn't translate well to this because they ask somebody a question, they got to let them answer the question, and the person legally cannot lie. I mean, they cannot win with this strategy. All they can do, in the best case scenario, nobody pays attention. Why we're talking about it. In the best case scenario, nobody pays attention. So what can you do? Take advantage of that fact. My God, take advantage of that fact. If you have people in your life that are MAGA fiends, if you run across such people out there in the wild, be ready to show them Bo's clip, link in the description, or just remember the simple fact that the hearings showed a massive right-wing bias. In fact, just remember the fact that Twitter literally, these hearings have shown, Twitter literally changed their terms of service to accommodate Donald Trump's hate speech. They changed their terms of service for the sake of accommodating Donald Trump. That is how far they went in terms of their right-wing bias. If you remember that, you can drop that on them. It's a matter of public record now. It is not up for debate. They can Google it. You can Google it in front of them. That is how to shut them down. That is how to wake them up. That is how to bring them a little bit closer to reality. Only thing we can't do is ignore them. If somebody is out there ranting and raving, I encourage you, unless they're dangerous, we do know a hell of a lot of MAGA folks are, but if they're not dangerous in your estimation, or it's not a dangerous situation, do correct them. Do point out that MAGA got to run hearings now, and even in their own hearings, the opposite of what their fan base believes, of what their cult believes, has been borne out. They simply are not operating in the real world. Just let them know that.